Hello and welcome back to another ClickUp tutorial. In today's video, we're talking about how to set up ClickUp for project management if you have a sizable team and lots of projects to focus on, maybe multiple clients you're worried about. This is going to be best for like agencies or any sort of service business, anyone that's taking tickets for their clients. This is really just going to help you get a better view on who in your organization is going to be focused on which tasks, when they're due, and which ones are most important right now. You can also share this with your clients to show them progress on your projects without showing them the entire workspace. So you can just show them their particular area of the workspace. So let's first talk a little bit about ClickUp Pricing so you know what to expect. Now here we are on the ClickUp Pricing page. You're gonna see that they have a free forever plan. This is best for personal use as it says. This isn't unlimited storage, it's up to 100 MB, but this is a pretty solid plan if you're just getting started out and you are using ClickUp for personal use. The small teams plan, this unlimited plan for $5 per member per month, is pretty good if it's just you and maybe one other team member, maybe two. But I would recommend if you have a team, definitely go with the business plan at minimum, maybe even the business plus plan. If you are looking for a discount on the ClickUp software, definitely check out the link in my description below. ClickUp is going to give you 20% off your ClickUp plan when you sign up using that link, and they'll also send me a small kickback for referring you. Now, this is what ClickUp will look like when you just have a blank workspace and you're just getting ready to build. But if you're building something in ClickUp, I recommend planning it out. Whether you do this on a piece of paper, you can write this down, or maybe even use a digital whiteboarding tool. That's what I personally did when I was planning this workspace that I'm about to build with you guys. So let's take a look at that. This might look a little bit confusing, but this is the ClickUp hierarchy. So at the very top of your hierarchy, you have your workspace, and this is just going to have a name and maybe some settings around it. Now, in order to edit your workspace settings, you're gonna wanna click on this drop-down arrow, go to settings, and right in here, you can change settings for your overall workspace. So if you have the white label feature, which requires you contacting ClickUp to get their enterprise solution for that, you can turn that on here. You can also manage the different people in your organization here. You can set up teams, spaces, which we don't have any spaces right now. You can enable different Click apps, which are really just little features that you can add on to ClickUp to make it more powerful. So you can turn these on or off. That's the nice thing about this. We've got like automation, screen recording. This one completely replaces Loom. So that's what I'm talking about, guys. When you look at this pricing, it's pretty reasonable considering you're going to get tools like this that replace other tools that are hundreds of dollars a year. We also have collaborative editing, which is very similar to Google Docs, it looks like. Pretty neat. And I could go on showing you these Click apps all day, but you're just going to want to choose which ones you want to enable for your space. Now, beneath that, we have spaces. So I've planned this out. I'm going to build a workspace today for Greenline Media, and within that we have clients, and we also have internal work. And those are going to be siloed off to different members. So some members are going to have access to these clients, and then some members are going to have access to the internal area. So if we're doing an internal website build, I don't really want the deliverable people over here to be able to see that. So maybe I could, separate it out. That's just an example, but maybe you also have a cold email sprint in there. And then within your client space, you're going to have a list for each of your clients. Now, lists can contain tasks, like designing a new website, and then the subtasks within that, like gathering client information and content for the website, setting up hosting and ensuring domain ownership for your client, different things like that. And then these subtasks can have nested subtasks within them, so it gets even more drilled down, right? So what is involved with gathering information and content for the website? Well, you're gonna write a welcome email requesting the content and create a custom Google Drive folder and share it with any shareholders that are involved with the project. So this helps you get real organized, and you can also set up dependencies with this, meaning this task has to be complete before this one can start. Hope that makes sense. But I am going to start building this now. So we have this plan ready, and I'm going to use it as a guideline. Hope this doesn't look too confusing, but what I recommend is just building this out, writing this down on paper before you build it. You're gonna have to have a workspace, spaces, lists, tasks, and then you don't really need subtasks or nested subtasks, but it's another level that you can go into if you want to. All right, so we're here with a brand new workspace, and I'm going to hit new space, and we're gonna call this one clients, add an icon and a color for it, hit next. And you can either make this a global workspace area so everyone in your workspace can see it, or you can make this private and you can select the members that you want to have access to it. So let's just say me and Drake are going to have access to this one. I'm going to hit next. And then I'm going to go to Kanban. This is the task statuses area. So for active tasks, meaning they're still in progress, we're going to want to have different statuses for those. So if there's a task in progress, that means that somebody is already working on it. If it's a to-do, that means that it hasn't been started yet. And if it's stuck, that means that there's a hang up, there's a bottleneck, there's something that needs to get fixed. So either an upper level manager or myself can come in here and make sure that the task gets unstuck and the project moves along smoothly, because there's a lot of reasons that a project could come to a halt. We also have this closed status, complete, meaning that the task is completely done and it can go to the archive. If you want a task to appear done, but you don't want it to be archived and you want it to still show up, you can also add a status here, and you can just have like a done status, for instance, and that could go right in here. I'm going to delete this because I don't need it. Once a task is complete in our setup, we just need to say complete and just disappear. I'm going to hit next. And here's where you can turn on and off all of the Click apps for this particular space that you're in. So I'm just going to select which ones I want to keep and which ones I don't. And you can hover over this little eye here and it will show you exactly what that Click app will do. I'm going to hit next. And here's where you select the different views that you want to have available. So they even have like a map here. So this map would take addresses as an input or as a column, and you could see all of those addresses pinpointed on a map. Or you could view your lists as a board, a normal list, a calendar. There's all sorts of different ways to view it. We can also go to workload if we want to visualize how much work that people have to do within the organization. I'm going to hit review space. This is where you just want to make sure that everything is set up properly. You want to double check on everything, and you can click into these and you can change things last minute if you want to, and then just hit review changes. And once you're ready, hit create space. So now we have our clients section here, and then within that it's created a list. I'm just going to delete this new list here, and we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. And now we're going to create a new space. So far, what we've done is we've got Greenline Media, clients. We're going to create an internal space next. So let's hit new space, call it internal. And this is just going to be any internal work that we do at the agency. I'm going to make this available to the entire workspace. This doesn't need to be private. I'm going to hit next, and we can go to the Kanban. That'll work for this as well. I'm going to hit next, make sure whatever I want checked is checked, and hit next, view space, create space. All right, now we have clients and we have internal. These are our two spaces. You can add more if you'd like. So what we need to do next is add lists, tasks, subtasks, and nested subtasks. And you can assign these and create dependencies within these. You can also add detailed information as to like how to complete these tasks so that whoever's in charge of it can kind of read a templated SOP if they need to. So let's get into doing that now. We're going to create lists for each client that we have under the client space. So I'm going to come in here, hit the plus, new list, and we're going to call this ABC Company. So this is going to be our first client. I'm going to hit create list. All right, so that would mean that we can check off client 1. All right, now I'm going to drill down into the tasks that we need to complete for that client. So the cool thing about this is you can create templates at a lot of these levels. So if you wanted to create just a generic client template for your list, you could do that. You could also create a template for different tasks or checklists within that list. So if you have something that's repetitive, like designing a new website, you could just template that out. But the first time around, we're gonna have to build this. So for design new website, under client 1, which is ABC Company, we're just going to have to start adding some tasks. So design new website is the first task. Then we're going to have run Facebook ads is the second task. So now we have design new website and run Facebook ads. Now out of the box, we can add these subtasks, but in order to add nested subtasks, you're gonna need to enable a Click app. So before we start going deeper into this, I wanna make sure that you have the Click app enabled. So go to your settings and go to Click apps, and then just scroll down and make sure that you have nested subtasks enabled. So we have nested subtasks enabled already, but if you don't, you're gonna wanna make sure that you tick this and then set how many levels you want. So I've got it set to 3. You can go up to 7 nested subtasks, which is pretty insane. So now that we have these projects in here, or if you're going by the technical term, these are called tasks. What we can do next is we can drill down and go further into subtasks. So I'm actually just going to be really lazy here and copy these that I have pre-planned. And to create a subtask, you just click this button here, enter, save. I'm going to do that now for the rest of these planned subtasks, just copy and paste them over. All right, so we have all 6 of these steps in this project added. So designing a new website is going to break down into gathering client information and content, setting up hosting and ensuring domain ownership for the client. This is something that I think is crucial. Whenever I'm building a new website, I want to make sure that the client owns the domain and that they know where the hosting is set up, and the hosting is billed on their card and it's owned by them. And I'm just kind of an outside person that's coming in to help them with a service, not the owner of their own property. It's one of the huge misconceptions I've seen in web design is sometimes a web development company will own the domain, they'll own the website, they'll own everything. They don't give any ownership over to the client. There's also build a mock-up of the website. That's the next step. Then convert the site to a web version on a subdomain. Then we have revision phases, implement the live website. So I could go through these and add the subtasks for each of these steps, but I'm just going to add it for this first one here because that's all I've had planned out. So just hit create subtask. And remember, you do have to enable this in the Click apps before you can do this. Then we're just going to add these nested subtasks. Now, as you can see, you can hide these if you want to, or you can open them up. You can assign these to different members within your organization. You can put due dates on them. You can add priority levels, and you can add tons of different columns here if you wanted to. They've got drop down where you can create a list of options. They've got rating, money, formula, all sorts of different fields that you can add here. I'm just going to keep it default for now. The cool thing about this is as you use ClickUp, it's going to get quicker and more efficient, and you're going to be able to start creating templates for different services that you provide. So if you take a look here, what we can do with these tasks is we can click these 3 dots, and then you can go to Template Center. And then if you hit Save As Template, it's going to save this as a template. You just give it a name. So this is designing a website. You can add a description if you want to. This is our standard operating procedure for developing a website. Next, I'm going to add a tag, call it deliverable. So we can just tag all of our deliverables in here. And then when we're creating a new project for a client in the future, we can just come into the Template Center and add any of the deliverables that that particular client needs. And you can choose who you want to share this template with as well. Public sharing turned on will create a public link for this template. So I could share it with like you guys, for instance. This is a pretty crappy template though, so I'm not going to add a public link for this. There's not much to it. And then you can either import everything when you have this new template appear, or you can choose what you want to be included. So maybe for instance, you don't want assignees to be ticked and you want to set the assignees every time you create this new task. But if you want them to stay the same, you just leave that checked. It's pretty nice though that you can choose what you want to be filled in and what you don't want to be filled in. I'm gonna hit save. And now if we wanted to, I could create a new list. We could call it imaginary company, hit create list. So let's say for this imaginary company, we want to use the same process that we used for designing this website over here because it's probably a pretty similar service. So what we'd do is we'd enter imaginary company, and then I could use the / command right here and start typing template. I can click that, and then I just hit browse. And from here, you can choose which template you want to use. You can go into your own templates, or you can go into the community templates. And I'm just going to stick to my own. I'm on the task level right now. And we're just going to hit quick use, and that's going to add this designing a website in here. It's also going to add the subtasks within that, and then the nested subtasks below that. So this just saves a ton of time, especially if you get this set up with Automate. You can really save a ton of time. Now let's head back over to ABC Company, and let's imagine that I wanted to assign this to me, assign this project to Drake, Then let's say I wanted to add a new field for time. I have to go to field, type time estimate. Let's also add time tracked. So here I can just simply click this play button if I'm Drake, and it will start tracking his time. And then as you can see, after it stops, it's just going to add all of the time prior to that together. And each time you create a new session, it starts back at 0. But then once you hit stop, it sum totals that. I can also add an estimated time. So if I wanted to estimate how long running the Facebook ads would take, I could hit estimate task, and then I could type in the time in real language. So let's just say 2 hours. Boom. And now for this one, let's just say the total website is going to take 10 hours. And so that is the overall task, but within that I can also track time for the subtasks, and we can add time estimates for those as well. Now let's go ahead and set some due dates. And let's imagine that we need to design this new website before we can start running the Facebook ads. So what you do in that case is you'd set up a dependency. To do a dependency, you just have to click on design new website, go to these 3 dots here, and then hit dependencies. And the blocking dependency is probably the one that you'll use the most. So this is tasks that can't start until this task that we're on right now is complete. So if we want designing a new website to come before running Facebook ads, and we don't want to start the Facebook ads until this website is done, what we would want to do is just hit that dependencies button, go into blocking, add task that is blocked, and we would make sure that run Facebook ads is added in there. So this is now blocking run Facebook ads until it's set to complete. And it's going to actually make sure that all of these tasks here that say unresolved are actually resolved. If I hit continue anyway, it will continue without resolving those action items. If I hit close any action items that aren't yet closed, it will actually resolve all of those right here. I'm not going to do any of that right now. And what it'll do is it'll give you this little red icon if there is a blocking dependency. So this is the next task we need to do. And then it'll give a yellow one if it's waiting on something. So right now Facebook ads is waiting on website design. Let's get all of these assignees added as well as due dates. Right now we're viewing this as a list. So we're seeing everything, our assignees, due dates, priority, time tracked, time estimate. If I wanted to switch this over to board, we could drag these tasks along as they get completed or as they're in progress. And this is going to inherit all of the tasks underneath it. Now, in order for me to actually complete this task and close it, it's going to warn me that there's a dependency. So that means that this task needs to be complete before this one. Now that we have all these tasks set up, what I can do is I can go to this everything tab, and that's going to show me all of the tasks that I have for specific clients. So if I wanted to close ABC company, I could, or I could close imaginary company and reopen this. And you can really just drill down and see the constituent parts of whatever project you're working on. Up here, you can change your view. Here's a board view, just as an example of that. And you can drag things along from this view as well. There's tons of other views that you can add by hitting this button up here. Over here, you can filter or sort by. You can even group by assignee if you wanted to. So that's just going to show everything that Drake has to do, everything that I have to do. Now, since this has a dependency on this task being complete, maybe I don't want this to show up yet in the everything view. So what I could do is go to filter, type in dependency, and then I could change this to doesn't have. So if the dependency doesn't have waiting on, then it will show. And it also gives me this unassigned tab here. So this is just a good way to kind of get to inbox 0. If we want to make this everything area a catch-all, we know that anything that's unassigned, we can come in here and we can simply assign it. And now it'll show what projects Drake and I are working on together and what project Drake is working on alone. Now, one thing that you can do that's pretty neat is you can add SOPs to these different tasks. So let's say for this write welcome email, I wanted to click into that and I wanted to write out a template. So I might just hit /green banner and just type in email template, hit enter, and then right down here, I could write out the email template. All right, so this is kind of a nice way to streamline this. So if Drake came in here, since this task's assigned to him, and I had this pre-written, it's very simple. He can just copy and paste this and fill in the relevant information such as client name. So he could say ABC Company. Then he could add his name down here. And from there, he can just copy and paste this and send it out. If he wanted to ask me a question on this, he could simply type @Carter Sirach. It's not going to show up for me, but I'm just going to show you an example with him. Like if I was asking him a question, @Drake, did you send out this email yet? Or do you need some assistance? And then that would notify him if he has his notifications set up properly. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial on how to create a project management workspace for an agency style business. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I try to answer all of those questions as they come in. And also leave a like on this video if it helped you out. If you still have questions about ClickUp and you want to learn more, definitely check out my playlist up in the right corner right now. You can just click that link as it pops up, and that card will take you to a ClickUp playlist that gives you all of my other ClickUp videos. This one was kind of fast-paced and a little bit more advanced, a little bit quicker, so I apologize if I left you in the dust, but we do have some slower tutorials over in that playlist, so definitely check it out. We'll see you guys in the next one.